Welcome to Subramani. In a group of investors planning for their retirement, it doesn't matter whether they're 45, 50, 55 or about to retire, whatever. When I ask them a question, which is the most important assumption that you make in while doing your retirement planning, many of them would say interest rates, and many of them would say, I do not know what is the correct answer. So there are very many assumptions that we make, and believe me, all of them could go wrong. And even if one of them goes wrong, your whole retirement calculation goes for a toss, which is why planning for retirement and arriving at the exact figure as to how much you need for retirement is a joke, even with all sophisticated calculators, etc. So let us look at what are the things that one should know while planning for retirement. It is how long you will live, right? That is a number which none of us know. With better and better medical facilities, Indians are definitely living longer. Don't go by the national average of 72 or things like that. Middle class might live till the age of 95. Somebody could live till the age of 114, right? I've actually heard of a guy living till the age of 114. In my class, there was one boy who said, my neighbor is 114 years old, right? So how long you will live, you have no clue how long you will live. The second most important thing is being prepared for inflation. Those of us who have seen the inflation of 1970, 1980, even till 2014, right? We have seen inflation in double digits and high double digits, right? 18% is the interest that Reliance used to pay on its bonds, believe it or not, 18%, right? So if 18% is what they were forced to pay, it was obviously because inflation was 16-17%. Otherwise, people would not put money in. And the GSEC was also at 13-14%. It was not as though the GSEC was at 7% and Reliance was paying 18%. Inflation, it's a very big assumption about inflation. We have seen that kind of inflation. Now the problem or the assumption that from 2014, and I'm attributing it as much to Raghuram Rajan as much as to Narendra Modi, we have seen a very tepid inflation even during COVID, unlike say in the US. So the US, which had got used to a 2% inflation, suddenly saw 4% inflation, 5% inflation, and now with the Saudi Arabians saying that they will no longer sell only in US dollar, I'm not saying it is the collapse of the dollar economy, it's not happening in my lifetime, but inflation in the US will become a reality, and the US will also start having inflation at 4 or 5%, right? Now to take the Indian condition, we have got used to tepid inflation. So if I tell in a class that inflation could be 8%, they would say, no, we just check the papers, it is only 3% or 2% or 4%, whatever. The problem is that is the higher, that is the inflation which the government is telling you happening to maybe wholesale price index. The CPI could be different, and CPI does not include fuel, and fuel prices are fluctuating, right? So whatever you assume about inflation, you could be wrong, right? Indians are living longer but not working longer. They want to retire at a younger and younger age, maybe 45. At 45 they start considering retirement, and maybe at 50 they will retire. They will actually retire at 50. What happens if a man retires at 50 and assuming that his wife is 5 years younger to him, and she lives till the age of 101, right? So which means she was only 45 when her husband retired. So 45 to 105 is 60 years in retirement. None of us, in no assumption, make 60-year assumptions about staying in retirement, right? Very clearly, with such long, unimaginably long retirement lives which can happen, we have zero ability to live that kind of a period with just on interest, right? It is impossible that all your money you put in a bank fixed deposit and earn interest and pay tax on that interest on a yearly basis and have adequate money to retire for 60 years. Impossible. It is just impossible. The numbers don't add up. So we sit down and calculate and say, okay, 30 times annual expenses at the age of 60. So now you're 50 and you're spending 10 lakhs a year. So you at the age of 60, let us assume for simplicity purposes, you would have doubled it. So you would be spending 20 lakhs a year on your day-to-day expenses at the age of 60. Now 30 times that means 20 into 30, right? That is 6 crores. So 6 crores is what you will need for retirement. Now that's fantastic, but just step back. Suppose in 2019 we had arrived at your retirement figure, and that time it was about 2.5 crores. 2.5 crores is what I told you require for your retirement, or your financial advisor told you that 2.5 crores is what you require for retirement. Very confidently he said that. You went home, you were sure that you have enough money to retire. You retired, one parent was hit by COVID, both parents were hit by COVID, the father or mother got admitted to a hospital, and you burned 30 lakhs. Straight gone, right? Kaput. So you had 2.5 crores, but 30 lakhs was gone on one illness, on one person. So you suddenly realize that what my advisor said was right. I needed 30 times the corpus, so that was about 2 crores, but out of which maybe 15% is gone to COVID. So that scares you. So you say, okay, should I have 30 times my annual expenses plus about 1 crore in some funds, some multi-asset, multi-cap, whatever funds where I can fall back on in case of a medical emergency. How much to provide for in a medical emergency, we do not know. So we do not know how long we will live. We do not know what will be the rate of return that we get on our portfolio, total portfolio. But we have established that we cannot have only debt, right? You have to have equity to grow along with your needs over the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever. I am not putting a number to it. The general assumption is it would be 30. Now that's fantastic. For everybody you assume it is 30. So let's just say you did a retirement planning for 10 people. 3 people lived till the age of 99. You had assumed that they will die at the age of 80. So 19 years you had underprovided for in their retirement, especially in a wasting corpus kind of a thing where you said corpus will go to zero by the time you die. Right, these things could happen. So, so how much do you require for retirement is a question where don't try to fix and say, oh, I calculated I need 2 crore 19 lakh 72,642 rupees. No, this is not a perfect science like math or physics. It is a evolving thing. How much you will be able to withdraw, that is another number on which people get fixated. Will I be able to withdraw 4% of my portfolio or 6% of my portfolio? Because in India inflation is 6%, so if I can invest 6 and keep increasing, what will happen? It is easy to say that there is one fixed number. Maybe it is 4% in the US. 4% in the US is still not tested over long periods of interest rates coming down and the markets not going up, right? It's not tested during such periods. So I'm not getting into those things, but understand that anything that your financial advisor tells you about retirement, all these uncertainties have to be provided for. So it becomes very difficult. It is like sitting in a car in Andheri wanting to go to Pune and the Google map telling you it will take 5 hours. But Google map does not know that there is an accident in Chembur or in Vashi which is going to delay you by 2 hours. You have no clue. And as then when you reach Chembur, the data comes in and the Google map says no, it's not going to be 4 hours, it's going to be 6 hours. You had no clue what was happening, but the Google map is there to help you. Was the Google map accurate when you started by saying 4 hours? Yes, of course it was, but it did not know that there is going to be an accident. It did not know that you're going to stop for breakfast. It did not know you're going to stop for lunch or whatever, right? It did not know that your your car is going to have a flat tire. None of this was known. So in a retirement planning exercise, everything is an unknown. So somebody cannot give you an exact figure. We are all treated more like astrology or psephology. This is not a perfect science. Lot of uncertainties. We can't say which one thing is important. But if you want to ask me and put a gun on my head and say name one thing which is important, it is inflation. Not because inflation is the only thing which we do not know, but because we have got complacent to inflation, saying, oh, inflation doesn't happen under this regime, it is very good, but it could happen. Being ready for that is the most important thing. So most important thing is to understand the financial calculations for your retirement, and understanding that this is just indicative as to how well you should be prepared for your retirement. Thank you.